She called her stepdaughter a disgrace, but the whole village heard the truth instead. A jealous stepmother spreads deadly lies to stop a bride price until a public gathering exposes her sabotage and destroys her own daughter's future. When envy turns to humiliation and karma strikes back, only one woman walks away vindicated. If you love explosive African family dramas packed with justice and revenge, subscribe now to Folktales by Noble and turn on the notification button, where secrets never stay buried. Amara wakes before the rooster crows. The darkness is thick and cool, clinging to the mud walls of the Obi compound. For a moment, she lies still on her raffia mat, listening to the quiet breathing of the household. The air smells faintly of smoke from last night's firewood. Somewhere in the distance a dog barks. Then she rises. Her feet touch the cold earth floor. She wraps her faded wrapper tightly around her slim waist and ties a scarf over her long braids. No mirror, no complaint, just routine. By the time the first rooster splits the dawn with its cry, Amara is already sweeping the compound. The broom scratches rhythmically against the sand. Dust rises in soft clouds, settling against her dark skin. The sky is still indigo, but she moves with certainty, clearing fallen leaves, smoothing the ground into neat patterns. Inside the house, Ngozi turns in her sleep. Amara finishes sweeping and balances two large clay pots against her hips. The path to the stream is narrow and uneven, edged with thorny shrubs. Other girls her age walk the path too, but they travel in clusters, laughing softly. Amara walks alone. At the stream, the water glows faintly under early light. She kneels, her reflection wavering in the ripples. Wide almond eyes, calm but tired, high cheekbones, full lips pressed into quiet endurance. Her beauty is natural, unadorned, the kind that does not beg to be seen, but commands attention anyway. She fills the pots, lifts them onto her head with effortless balance, and begins the slow journey back. By the time she returns, Madame Felicia is awake. Felicia steps out onto the veranda, her heavy gold bangles clinking sharply as she stretches. Her wrapper is bright, freshly tied, her headscarf immaculate. Even at dawn, her face is perfectly arranged. Thin brows arched, lips pursed. She scans the compound like an inspector. "Amara," she calls. "Yes, Mama." Amara answers immediately, lowering the pots. "You call this sweeping? Look at that corner. Are you blind?" Amara glances. The corner is spotless. "I will redo it," she says softly. Felicia snorts. "Lazy girl." Amara says nothing. She has learned silence is safer than defense. Soon the firewood crackles. Amara grinds pepper on the stone slab, the red paste staining her fingers. She boils yam, fries akara, prepares pap. Smoke stings her eyes, but she blinks away tears before they fall. Ngozi finally emerges when the sun is fully awake. She yawns dramatically, stretching her soft arms above her head. Her satin night scarf slips slightly over her carefully plaited hair. Unlike Amara's faded wrapper, Ngozi's morning robe is new, pale pink with embroidered flowers. "Good morning, Mama," Ngozi says sweetly. "My princess," Felicia replies warmly, her tone transformed. Amara sets the tray before them and steps back. Ngozi tastes the pap and frowns. "It's too hot." Felicia turns sharply. "Amara, must you burn my daughter's tongue?" "I'm sorry, Mama." "Always sorry." After breakfast, the work continues. Washing clothes at the back of the house, her hands submerged in soapy water until her fingers wrinkle. Tending the goats, scrubbing cooking pots blackened by soot. Later, she helps Felicia prepare palm oil for sale, stirring, filtering, lifting heavy containers. The sun climbs high. Sweat glistens along Amara's temples, tracing lines down her neck. Her palms are rough, her shoulders aching. "Faster!" Felicia snaps from her shaded seat. "Do you want customers to meet us unprepared?" "Yes, Mama." By afternoon, Amara carries the palm oil to the roadside stall. Market women greet her warmly. Amara, ezigbo enwa, one calls. Good child. You will make a fine wife one day, another says with a grin. Amara smiles shyly, lowering her gaze respectfully. Her voice is soft when she answers elders, always prefaced with ma or sir. She never interrupts, never gossips. In the village, her name carries quiet admiration, but admiration inside the compound is dangerous. It happens one hot afternoon. An elderly woman struggles along the dusty road, a heavy basin of cassava balanced poorly on her frail head. The load tilts dangerously. Without hesitation, Amara rushes forward. "Grandmother, let me help you." She steadies the basin, lifts it with practiced strength, and transfers it onto her own head. The old woman protests weakly. "Noam, I cannot pay you." Amara smiles. "Your blessing is enough." She walks slowly beside her, matching her pace, listening as the woman recounts stories of her youth. They do not know they are being watched. Across the road, standing beside a parked motorcycle, is Emeka Okafor. He is tall, broad-shouldered, dressed simply in a crisp shirt rolled at the sleeves. His presence is calm, but commanding. He has just returned from Lagos after building his trading business. He has seen many women, polished, bold, city-schooled, but this quiet village girl catches him off guard, not because of her beauty, though it is undeniable, but because of her gentleness. He watches her adjust the heavy load effortlessly. He notices how she laughs softly at the old woman's jokes. He sees her refuse payment. There is no performance in her kindness, only sincerity. That evening, Emeka asks about her. "Who is that tall girl from the Obi compound?" An elder nods thoughtfully. "Chief Obi's daughter. Good girl, hard-working." Emeka's interest settles into intention. Within a week, his family prepares to make inquiries. The day they arrive, the Obi compound is unusually tense. Felicia hears the news first. A neighbor whispers it through the fence. Emeka Okafor's people are coming. Felicia's stomach tightens. She glances toward Amara, who is kneeling by the well, scrubbing clothes. Her eyes narrow. If Amara marries well, tongues will compare. If Amara leaves, who will fetch water? Who will grind pepper? Who will carry oil? And worse, what if Amara marries richer than Ngozi? No, that cannot happen. When Emeka's family steps into the compound, dignified, respectful, bearing cola nuts, Felicia transforms. She greets them with exaggerated politeness, her bangles chiming as she gestures toward seats. Chief Obi joins them, slightly confused, but welcoming. After customary greetings, Emeka's uncle clears his throat. "We have come to make peaceful inquiries about your daughter, Amara." Felicia inhales sharply, as though burdened. "That girl?" she says slowly. The room stills. "Yes," the uncle replies carefully. Felicia lowers her voice, leaning in confidentially. "She is troublesome." Chief Obi shifts uncomfortably. "In what way?" Emeka's mother asks, brows knitting. Felicia sighs deeply. "We have been praying. She keeps late nights, talks to boys. Sometimes she answers back. Each word drops like poison into clear water. It spreads quietly." Chief Obi opens his mouth slightly, then closes it. Felicia continues smoothly. "As parents, we are managing her. You understand how girls can be." A heavy silence follows. Reputation is currency. Suspicion is debt. Emeka's uncle nods slowly, masking disappointment. "We appreciate your honesty." Amara, unaware, is at the back pounding yam. Her arms rise and fall rhythmically. Thud, thud, thud. With each strike, her future is being quietly dismantled. When Emeka's family leaves, their steps are slower, their conversation subdued. They will think about it. They will pray about it, which means They are withdrawing. That night, Emeka sits quietly on his veranda. "Troublesome?" he murmurs. It does not align with what he saw, but culture teaches caution. No man wants scandal attached to his household. Meanwhile, in the Obi compound, Felicia removes her headscarf and smiles privately. A slow, satisfied smile. She has protected her interests. Amara finishes washing the final pot and steps into the house. Her body aches, but her spirit is unaware of the storm brewing around her name. She pauses when she notices the silence. "Did visitors come?" she asks gently. Felicia answers before Chief Obi can speak. "Yes, but they were not serious people." Amara nods, accepting the explanation without suspicion. Later that night, as she lies on her mat, staring at the cracked ceiling, she feels something she cannot explain. A shift, like a door that opened briefly, then shut. Outside, Felicia whispers to Ngozi, "You see? No one will take her before you." Ngozi giggles softly, but Felicia's voice hardens in the darkness. "If Amara marries, we suffer. If she stays, we benefit." Her bangles clink as she turns. So the bride price talks must never begin. And in the quiet of the compound, beneath the same roof, one woman sleeps in innocence, while another sharpens the blade of sabotage. The chains around Amara are silent, but they are tightening. The first time it happens, Amara tells herself it is coincidence. The second time, she begins to feel the shift. The third time, the whispers no longer hide when she walks past. Life in the Obi compound continues as it always has. Before dawn, before breath, before light. Amara rises, sweeps, fetches water, grinds pepper, tends goats. But something in the air has changed. It feels heavier, watchful. The market women who once pulled her close now exchange glances before greeting her. Conversations soften when she approaches. A few smiles remain, but they are cautious now. Rumors do not shout. They crawl. Another suitor comes. His name is Chinedu, a school teacher newly posted to the village secondary school. He is not as wealthy as Emeka, but he is educated, steady, respected. He has noticed Amara walking past the school compound each morning with water pots balanced effortlessly on her head. He admires the way she greets elders, the way she lowers her eyes without shrinking herself. He hears from a neighbor that she can read and write well despite not continuing her studies. Chinedu is practical. He values character more than noise. So he sends his elder brother and 2 uncles to make inquiries. The day they arrive, Felicia is ready. She has learned from the first encounter. This time, she does not sigh dramatically. She acts reluctant, as though protecting them from danger. "That girl?" she repeats when they mention Amara. Her tone is softer, concerned. Chinedu's brother leans forward politely. "We have heard good things." Felicia shakes her head slowly. "You see, outsiders hear what they want to hear." Chief Obi sits quietly beside her, his fingers intertwined tightly in his lap. Felicia continues. "She was seen near the river at night." Lie. Chief Obi stiffens slightly. She answers elders rudely when corrected. Lie. The men exchange uneasy glances. And Felicia lowers her voice further, glancing toward the doorway as if afraid Amara might overhear. "There are spiritual concerns." The word lands heavily. In a village where unseen forces are feared and respected, that single suggestion is enough to halt momentum. "Spiritual?" one uncle asks carefully. Felicia nods, lips pressed tight. "We are praying. We do not want to expose another family to complications." It is a masterful performance, not loud, not accusatory, just enough shadow to create doubt. By the time Chinedu hears the report, his enthusiasm has cooled into caution. A school teacher cannot afford scandal. His family withdraws politely, and the rumor grows legs. It begins subtly. Two women whisper near the cassava stall. River at night. Spiritual. Rude to elders. No one can name a witness. No one can confirm a detail. But the story spreads anyway. At church, the choir director hesitates before handing Amara the hymn book. During offering time, an elderly woman withdraws her hand slightly when Amara reaches to help her stand. Side eyes, silences, pauses that last a fraction too long. Amara feels it. She cannot name it, but she feels it. When she greets people, some respond with less warmth. When she smiles, it is not always returned. One afternoon at the market, a girl she once laughed with steps aside abruptly as Amara approaches. "Good afternoon," Amara says gently. The girl nods stiffly. "Good afternoon," then walks away. Amara stands still for a moment, palm oil container balanced at her feet. Confusion flickers in her wide eyes. What has she done? That evening, as the sun sinks and the compound glows amber, Amara finds her father seated alone on a wooden bench, staring at nothing. Chief Obi looks older these days, his once commanding presence now softened by avoidance. He knows something is wrong, but knowing and confronting are two different things. Amara approaches slowly. "Papa?" He hums in response. She sits on the ground beside him, folding her legs neatly. "Papa, why do suitors stop coming?" The question is soft, but it pierces. Chief Obi swallows. He avoids her eyes. "Maybe it is not yet your time," he says quietly. Amara studies his face. He does not sound convinced. "Have I offended someone?" she asks gently. "If I have done wrong, I want to correct it." Chief Obi's chest tightens. He knows. He knows Felicia talks too much when visitors come. He has heard fragments, the carefully planted doubts. He has sensed the satisfaction in her silence afterward. But confronting his wife means opening war inside his home, and he is tired of war. "You are a good girl," he says finally. "Time will speak." Time. Amara nods slowly, but time feels like a wall closing in. Meanwhile, inside the house, Felicia thrives. News arrives that a wealthy oil worker named Kunle has shown interest in Ngozi. Kunle works offshore. He drives a sleek car whenever he visits. He wears polished shoes and gold cufflinks. His family is influential. Felicia beams. This is the match she has been waiting for. Now, more than ever, Amara must not overshadow her daughter. Bride price discussions for Ngozi begin swiftly. Dates are proposed. Wine carrying is whispered about. Felicia buys expensive lace fabric, bright turquoise with heavy embroidery. She holds it against Ngozi's skin and smiles proudly. "My daughter will marry well," she announces loudly in the market. The same women who now whisper about Amara clap politely. Ngozi glows under the attention. She spends more time in front of mirrors, adjusting wigs, practicing her smile. She is not cruel, but she has learned to enjoy the comparison. And as Ngozi's prospects rise, Amara's workload doubles. "Wake earlier," Felicia orders. "There is more to grind." Wash Ngozi's clothes carefully. Polish her shoes. If Amara pauses for a breath, Felicia's voice slices through the air. "Lazy girl, do you think suitors want a girl who cannot work?" The irony is sharp. Amara works until her shoulders burn, until her palms blister. Yet she says nothing, because something inside her is beginning to stir. Doubt, not about herself, but about the pattern. The turning point comes on a humid night. The air is thick, heavy with impending rain. Crickets sing loudly outside. Amara has just finished scrubbing the last pot and walks quietly past the sitting room. She hears her name. She pauses. Felicia is speaking to a neighbor who has stopped by. "That girl thinks she will leave here before my daughter?" Felicia scoffs. The neighbor chuckles. Felicia's voice lowers, but not enough. "Over my dead body." The words freeze Amara mid-step. Her heart pounds loudly in her ears. She stays still, hidden in the shadow near the doorway. "I have managed these suitors," Felicia continues smoothly. "Small talk is enough. No man wants trouble." The neighbor laughs. "You are wise." "Wise?" Felicia repeats proudly. "I will not raise my own daughter to be overshadowed in her father's house." Something cracks inside Amara, not loudly, but decisively. Managed. Small talk. Trouble. The pieces begin to align in her mind. Emeka's sudden silence, the teacher's disappearance, the whispers in the market, River at night, spiritual issues, rude to elders. Her stomach tightens. She feels heat rise from her chest to her face. Not shame. Anger. For the first time in years. Anger. She steps back quietly before they notice her presence. Inside her small room, she sits on her mat in darkness. The moonlight filters through the tiny window, casting faint silver across the floor. Her reflection stares back at her from a cracked mirror. Wide eyes, strong jaw, tired, but not weak. So this is not coincidence. It is design. The chains are not accidental. They are being tightened deliberately. Tears gather, but they do not fall. Instead, her breathing steadies. She remembers every early morning, every insult, every swallowed defense, and now this, a deliberate sabotage of her name. In a society where reputation is everything, her stepmother has been quietly poisoning the well she must drink from. Outside, thunder rumbles faintly in the distance. Inside, something else rumbles too. Resolve. For years, she endured because she believed suffering was duty. But this is theft. The theft of dignity, of opportunity, of future. And though she does not yet know how, she knows one thing clearly. The truth cannot stay buried forever. In the next room, Felicia laughs softly with her neighbor, confident in her control. She believes she has secured her daughter's spotlight. She believes Amara is too gentle to resist. She believes whispers are stronger than evidence. She does not know that Amara heard every word. And for the first time, the quiet girl who woke before roosters is no longer just enduring. She is watching. The night stretches long over the Obi compound. Ngozi dreams of lace and wedding songs. Chief Obi sleeps uneasily, unaware that the fragile peace he protects is already cracking. And Amara lies awake, staring into the dark, feeling something new ignite beneath the weight of silent chains. Not rebellion, not yet, but awakening. The morning of the Umuada meeting arrives thick with heat and expectation. The married daughters of the land gather beneath the ancient Udala tree at the village square, women who have returned from their husbands' homes to settle disputes, protect lineage, and correct wrongs. Their wrappers are tied firmly, their heads are high, their voices carry authority, sharpened by experience. It is not a meeting for gossip. It is a court without walls. Amara did not intend to attend, but when Felicia announced she would represent the Obi household, something inside Amara stirred again. That same quiet resolve, born the night she overheard the truth. So she followed. She walked a few steps behind her stepmother, carrying the tray of cola nuts and palm wine as custom required. Her face was calm, but her spine was straighter than usual. The square buzzed with conversation. Women embraced, laughed, exchanged updates. Disputes about farmland and inheritance were already being discussed when Amara and Felicia arrived. Among the gathering sat a familiar face, tall, dignified, sharp-eyed, Emeka's aunt. Amara's heart skipped once, but her expression did not change. The meeting progressed. A quarrel between two families was settled. A widow's complaint about seized land was heard. Voices rose and fell like drums. Then, during a pause between matters, an elderly woman adjusted her head tie and said casually, "Speaking of daughters, why is Amara not yet married?" The question floated innocently, but it landed heavily. Several heads turned toward Amara, who stood quietly near the edge of the gathering. She felt the weight of their eyes, curious, measuring. Before she could speak, Felicia laughed. Not a light laugh, a dramatic one. "My sisters," she began, fanning herself lightly. "Some fruits look sweet outside, but are rotten inside." The insult sliced cleanly through the air. A few women shifted uncomfortably. Amara felt the words like a slap, but her face remained composed. Emeka's aunt frowned immediately. "Rotten?" she repeated slowly. "That girl cared for my sister when she was ill, day and night, without payment." Murmurs rippled through the circle. Another woman leaned forward. "She helped deliver my baby when the nurse delayed." "And she returned the money I overpaid her at the market," someone added from the back. "Yes, I remember that." The murmuring grew louder. Felicia's smile tightened. "You people don't know what happens at home," she insisted smoothly. "There are things we parents must manage quietly." The word "manage" again. Amara felt her heartbeat steady, now. If she remained silent again, the lies would root permanently. If she spoke, she would be breaking years of submission. Her palms felt warm, her back straightened fully, and then, "May I speak?" The voice was hers, clear, steady. The square fell silent. No one had ever heard Amara interrupt her stepmother publicly. Felicia's head snapped toward her. Amara stepped forward into the center of the circle. The sunlight caught her face, illuminating the calm fire in her eyes. "If I am wayward," she said evenly, "let one person here say they have seen me misbehave." The simplicity of the challenge stunned the gathering. Silence answered her, not the awkward silence of doubt, but the heavy silence of truth, unchallenged. Women exchanged glances. No one spoke. Felicia opened her mouth, but no words came immediately. Amara continued, her voice neither loud nor trembling. "If I have insulted an elder, let that elder stand. If I have been seen at the river at night with men, let someone say it." The rumors were now named openly. The whispers dragged into daylight. The tension thickened. Then, unexpectedly, another voice cut through the stillness, a male voice. "Then let truth stand today." Heads turned sharply toward the edge of the square. Emeka stepped forward. He was dressed simply, but his presence commanded attention. He removed his cap respectfully as he approached the women. "My mothers," he greeted, bowing slightly. It was unusual for a man to step into a women's gathering uninvited, but this was no ordinary moment. "I ask forgiveness for intruding," he continued, "but my name has been tied to this matter." The air tightened further. "My family withdrew because of what we were told," Emeka said calmly. "We were told she keeps late nights, that she disrespects elders, that there are spiritual concerns." He paused deliberately. "But I have found no proof." His eyes moved respectfully across the gathering. "I want truth, not whispers." The square erupted in murmurs again. Felicia's bangles trembled against her wrist. This was not how it was supposed to unfold. She attempted to recover. "Young man," she said sharply, "there are things children do that outsiders cannot see." Emeka met her gaze calmly. "Then let those things be shown." The challenge hung in the air. For a moment, no one moved. Then an older woman near the back cleared her throat. "I have something to say." All eyes turned. It was the same neighbor who had once laughed with Felicia at night. Her expression now looked uncertain. "I heard Madame Felicia instructing Ngozi to repeat certain stories," she said slowly. About the river? About boys? A gasp rippled through the crowd. Felicia's face drained slightly. "That is not," she began, but another voice interrupted. A teenage boy stepped forward nervously, twisting his cap in his hands. "My mother's," he said timidly. "I was sent to watch her." "Sent by who?" someone demanded. The boy swallowed. "Madam Felicia told me to see if Amara met anyone secretly. She promised to give me money." The square exploded into shocked exclamations. Felicia's composure cracked visibly now. Chief Obi, who had been standing near the outer edge of the gathering in growing dread, finally stepped forward. His face looked pale beneath his graying beard. "Felicia," he said quietly. The way he said her name, stripped of authority, stripped of protection, sent a chill through the space. "Is this true?" The question trembled. Felicia's eyes darted around the circle. The gold jewelry on her wrists suddenly seemed too loud, too bright, too heavy. "You people are twisting things," she snapped defensively. "I was only protecting my household." "By destroying your husband's child?" One elder woman shot back sharply. "To stain her name?" Another added. "In our land," Emeka's aunt said firmly, rising to her feet, "a woman's reputation is sacred. You do not soil it because of jealousy." The word landed like thunder. Jealousy. Felicia's breathing quickened. Her control, so carefully maintained, was dissolving under collective scrutiny. "You feared she would marry before your daughter," an elder stated plainly. Silence. That silence answered everything. The women began speaking over one another now, anger rising not just for Amara, but for what the act represented. To sabotage your husband's blood? To plant lies? To call her spiritually unclean? Chief Obi looked shattered. For years he had avoided confrontation, convincing himself peace was more important than truth. Now, peace had exploded publicly. "Felicia," he repeated, his voice breaking slightly. "Answer." Her lips parted, closed, parted again. And then the tears came. Not graceful tears, not dignified ones. Tears born from exposure. "I did not want her to leave before my daughter," she burst out. "Is it a crime to want the best for your own child?" The admission echoed brutally across the square. There it was. Not spiritual concerns, not late nights. Envy, raw and undeniable. The gathering fell into stunned quiet. Amara stood still, absorbing the confession. She felt no triumph, only relief. The truth was finally breathing. An elder woman stepped forward, her voice firm. "You have committed a grave offense. In Igbo land, to falsely accuse a maiden of moral corruption is to attempt to destroy her future." Felicia bowed her head. "You will apologize," the elder continued, "before this gathering, and before the girl you tried to bury in lies." The command was absolute. Felicia's knees buckled slightly as she lowered herself onto them in the dust, her bright wrapper stained, her jewelry clinking weakly. She faced Amara. For the first time in years, she did not look superior. She looked small. "I lied," she said hoarsely. The words scraped against her pride. "I feared she would overshadow my daughter." A collective exhale moved through the square. Amara looked down at the woman who had ruled her mornings with insults and her evenings with suspicion. Years of swallowed pain trembled beneath her ribs, but when she spoke, her voice was steady. "I forgive you." The simplicity of it stunned even the elders, not because Felicia deserved it, but because Amara refused to let bitterness claim her. The Umuada nodded approvingly. Justice had been done publicly, reputation restored publicly, but consequences would ripple beyond this day. As the gathering dispersed, whispers followed, not about Amara, about Felicia. And somewhere beyond the square, destiny was shifting. The chains that had tightened silently were now broken in full daylight, and nothing in the Obi compound would ever be the same again. Back inside the compound, the silence was suffocating. Felicia sat on the wooden bench near the doorway staring at the ground. Her bright lace wrapper was still stained with dust from where she had knelt. She had not changed it. Perhaps she could not bring herself to. Her gold bangles were gone. For the first time in years, her wrists were bare. Ngozi paced inside the house, agitation written across her soft features. "Why would you say it like that?" she whispered harshly. "Before everybody?" Felicia looked up sharply, wounded pride flashing through her eyes. "You think I wanted to kneel?" she snapped weakly. "They forced me." Ngozi shook her head, tears already gathering. "You should have just kept quiet from the beginning." The irony hung heavy. Chief Obi remained outside under the udala tree, unmoving. His shoulders seemed smaller than ever. Years of silent compromise had culminated in this public humiliation. And though he had not lied, he carried the shame of allowing it. Across the village, the news spread faster than harmattan fire. By evening, everyone knew, not that Amara was wayward, but that Felicia had lied, deliberately, for jealousy. Reputation is fragile in a close-knit community. Once cracked, it does not easily mend, and karma does not delay long. 2 days later, Kunle's family summoned a private meeting. Ngozi dressed carefully that morning, her hands trembling as she adjusted her expensive wig. She told herself the scandal would not affect her. She had done nothing wrong. Felicia sat beside her, silent. They traveled to Kunle's family compound with forced composure. The atmosphere was cold, no laughter, no small talk. Kunle's father, a stern man with sharp eyes and deliberate speech, cleared his throat once everyone was seated. "We have heard disturbing reports," he began gravely. Felicia attempted a polite smile. "People exaggerate matters." Kunle's mother leaned forward. "Did you accuse your stepdaughter falsely?" Felicia hesitated. Silence. Ngozi's heart pounded. "It was a misunderstanding," Felicia murmured. Kunle's father did not blink. "Were the accusations true?" Felicia could not answer directly. That was answer enough. The elder man exhaled slowly. "If this is the character of the mother, what of the daughter?" The sentence landed like a hammer. Ngozi gasped softly. "Sir, He raised a hand gently but firmly. "We are not accusing you, but marriage is not just between two people. It is between families." Kunle had been quiet throughout, his gaze conflicted. He liked Ngozi. He admired her beauty, her soft laughter. But reputation matters in circles of influence. "I cannot begin my home with controversy," he said finally, his voice restrained. Felicia's stomach dropped. "Are you saying—" she whispered. The elder spoke clearly. "Bride price negotiations are suspended indefinitely." Suspended. A polite word for rejection. Ngozi's composure shattered. Tears streamed freely now, unrestrained, humiliating. Kunle did not look at her, not out of cruelty, but out of discomfort. They left the compound in silence. The ride home felt longer than usual. As soon as they entered the Obi compound, Ngozi broke. She collapsed onto the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. "You said you were protecting me," she cried between breaths. "You said you were helping me." Felicia stood frozen. For the first time, the consequences were not theoretical. They were visible, audible, painful. "I didn't know it would go this far," Felicia whispered weakly. Ngozi's voice cracked. "You ruined everything." And in that moment, Felicia understood something she had refused to see before. Jealousy does not just harm its target, it consumes its owner. Meanwhile, something else was unfolding quietly. Emeka had not withdrawn his attention. If anything, the public revelation had strengthened his resolve. He had seen Amara stand under pressure without bitterness. He had watched her forgive without arrogance. That strength impressed him more than beauty ever could. 3 days after the scandal, Emeka returned to the Obi compound. This time, he did not come quietly. He came openly, with elders, with kola nuts, with clarity. The entire compound felt the shift immediately. Felicia remained inside. Ngozi did not come out. Chief Obi stepped forward to receive the visitors, his expression cautious but hopeful. Emeka spoke respectfully. "My intention stands." No hesitation, no doubt. "I seek Amara's hand in marriage, not because rumors died, but because truth lived." The word spread through the village like fresh wind. This was no secret inquiry. This was public declaration. Bride price discussions began properly, transparent, formal. Elders asked questions openly. Investigations were done thoroughly. Nothing hidden, nothing whispered. Amara participated quietly, her dignity intact. She did not gloat. She did not boast. She simply stood in truth. Felicia watched from behind the curtain. Each conversation about bride price felt like a door closing on the control she once held. The girl she had worked so hard to keep was leaving, not in disgrace, but in honor. The wedding day arrived bright and loud. Drums echoed through the village. Women dressed in vibrant wrappers gathered early, their laughter filling the air. Coral beads adorned Amara's neck and wrists, resting beautifully against her rich skin. She glowed, not because of decoration, but because vindication carries its own light. As she stepped into the courtyard for the traditional ceremony, ululations burst from the women around her. "Yeah!" The sound rose high, triumphant. Chief Obi stood beside his daughter, tears gathering silently in his aging eyes. He had failed her in silence before, but today he stood in open support. When Emeka placed the final symbolic gift before her, the elders nodded in approval. The bride price was complete, transparent, honorable, celebrated. Amara knelt before her father to receive his blessing. "Go well," he whispered, voice breaking. "Forgive my weakness." She squeezed his hand gently. "There is nothing to forgive, Papa." But both of them knew the journey had not been easy. At the edge of the gathering, Felicia stood alone. No gold jewelry, no bright lace, just a plain wrapper. Women who once flattered her now offered only polite nods. No one insulted her, but no one sought her attention either. That absence of admiration cut deeper than any rebuke. She watched as Amara was escorted toward Emeka's vehicle, laughter surrounding her like music. The unpaid labor she fought to keep was gone. The control she guarded fiercely had slipped through her fingers, and her own daughter's prospects now hung uncertain in the balance. Ngozi stood quietly beside her mother, eyes swollen from days of crying. For the first time, she looked at Amara not with comparison, but with understanding. As the vehicle drove away, women ululated again, celebrating a daughter vindicated. Dust rose behind the tires. Felicia remained still long after the crowd dispersed. Jealousy had promised protection. It delivered isolation. Sabotage had promised advantage. It delivered disgrace. In the quiet that followed, she finally understood. You cannot build your child's future by burning another's, because the smoke will eventually choke your own house. Inside the now emptier compound, silence felt different. Not heavy, not tense, just real. And somewhere beyond the village road, Amara smiled softly as she began a new chapter, not as a girl restrained by silent chains, but as a woman whose character survived every shadow thrown against it. Behind her, karma had completed its work. Ahead of her, dignity waited.